Ms. Schenck, you claim that when your daughter Serenity turned 2, Mr. Robinson began to doubt paternity.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, since then, you claim he's pulled away from your child and it's now breaking your heart to watch her suffer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Robinson, you state from the moment Serenity was born, you were actively involved in her life and developed a very strong bond.
Yes, Your Honor.
However, when Ms. Schenck suddenly stated you may not be her biological father and started to pursue DNA testing of another man, you pulled away.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you're hoping DNA results prove you are Serenity's father so you can once again feel close to your little girl.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Robinson, I want to understand what happened that changed everything for you as it relates to your little girl.
Well, Your Honor, up to 2 years of Serenity's life, I was there for her and Mrs. Schenck until about 5 months. She was 5 months pregnant. She told me that I may not be her father because she slept with a friend.
So hold on, take me back. You said you were there for her, meaning when you found out Ms. Schenck was pregnant, you thought you were having a baby.
Yes, ma'am.
It was never ever mentioned to you that there could possibly be another father.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you say you were there, give me details.
I was there through all her doctor's appointments. Each and every doctor's appointment, I was there. Even for Serenity, when she was born, I was there for her, helping her out with her.
Were you two in a relationship?
Not in an actual relationship. We was dealing with each other off and on.
Off and on?
Yes, ma'am.
Sexual relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so she told you she was pregnant, you believed her. You said, okay, and I'm there.
Yes, ma'am.
Doctor's appointments, everything.
Yes, ma'am, I was there.
And then about 5 months, what happened?
She told me that she had slept with a friend of mine and didn't know if I was the father or if he was the father.
So she came clean?
Yes, ma'am.
So Ms. Schenck, that happened?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please talk to me, fill me in. When you found out you were pregnant, did you think he was the father or did you know right off the bat there could possibly be another father?
I didn't know. When I first found out I was pregnant, he was there, like he said. We were in an on and off relationship. Around the time I had slept with him, I did sleep with somebody else. And we did use protection. The condom did break, that's why I didn't. Oops.
So it was just, I understand, I know this is difficult. And I appreciate the fact that you're here to tell the truth, because that's what we need to get down to the bottom of this situation. So you were in an on and off relationship with Mr. Robinson.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you did sleep with someone else during the window of conception.
Yes.
There was an issue with the protection you used.
Yes, Your Honor.
So when you found out you were pregnant, did you immediately say it could be Mr. Robinson or the other guy, or did you say to yourself you felt like it was just Mr. Robinson because you'd only been with the other guy once?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was it just one time with the other guy?
Yes, Your Honor.
So when you finally decided to tell Mr. Robinson the truth, fill me in on that, because Mr. Robinson says he was there for you. He was going to doctor's appointments. He thought he was having a child. And when did you decide to tell the truth?
5 months into my pregnancy, he had went through my phone and seen a text message I had sent to my cousin saying it was a 50-50 chance that he couldn't have been the father.
I'm missing some facts, and I need you to fill me in, because you said when you found out you were pregnant, you said to yourself, he's the father, because I only had sex with this guy, the other guy, one time, and we used protection even though there was an issue, so he must be the father. What happened during those 5 months that made you realize or do the math and it added up to it really could potentially be this other man's child as well?
It didn't add up. It didn't add up, Your Honor.
What do you mean it didn't add up? It did add up, because you wouldn't have written that text if you didn't think that.
The condom broke when I slept with the other person.
Okay, so what I'm saying is when you found out you were pregnant, you said you really felt it was Mr. Robinson's baby. At what point did that feeling change for you so that you would send that text to your cousin? You were replaying it in your mind?
You can say that, yes.
Okay, so when the baby was born, you were there.
Yes, ma'am.
So after she told you, you said, I don't want to hear this news, but I'm still going to be there.
Yes, ma'am.
So that part of her testimony is correct.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you continued to be there.
Yes, ma'am.
Through the birth.
Through the birth, I was there.
There at the hospital.
Yes, ma'am. I was there through her whole pregnancy. I was there through her birth. The birth certificate, my name is on it.
And then now you have this beautiful little girl, and you step up and you're her father.
Yes, ma'am. Up until after when she told me that she had slept with somebody else, that's what made me push myself away from Serenity.
What, you knew that it was a 50-50 chance when she was 5 months pregnant,
Yes, ma'am.
but you still said you'd be there.
Yes, ma'am.
So at what point did you begin to step back from Serenity after she was born, and why? Because you already knew at 5 months.
I found out that she was having the other guy tested, or she wanted to get tested and didn't have me tested.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. You made plans to have the other man tested?
Yes, but couldn't find him. Because when my daughter was first born, she didn't look anything like him. She looked just like the other man.
And so, as Mr. Robinson was bonding with the baby, really stepping up to the plate as father, in your mind, you're looking and you're saying, my baby looks just like the other guy.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I need to have him tested. You actually have another child with Mr. Robinson.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you guys were on and off again, but you have another child together, and that child you say looks like him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you say Mr. Robinson now treats baby Serenity differently than your other child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain.
He'll call and talk to my son. Sometimes he'll talk to her, tell her he misses her and he loves her. And sometimes when he calls, like when he's with his family, he doesn't even ask to speak to Serenity. An example is a couple weeks ago, they came and him and his mother came and picked up my son. And my daughter was devastated because she couldn't go. She cried for about 20, 25 minutes. Even sometimes when my son talks to his father on the phone, and after he gets off, Serenity says, I want to talk to daddy, and my son says, that's not your daddy.
How would a child know to tell another child that's not your father? See, that's a child in grown folks' business, where he doesn't belong. That's TMI for a child. So now your son looks at your daughter and says, that's not your daddy.
Yes.
And she's brokenhearted.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I want to hear from your witness. Ma'am, please step up. State your name for the court.
I'm Donna Schenck. I'm Brittany Schenck's mom.
Okay. Ms. Schenck, thank you for joining us today. What have you observed of the situation?
Well, first I'd like to say that I'm here today to support my daughter. I totally understand why Mr. Robinson pulled away from my daughter Serenity, granddaughter Serenity. I was in a similar situation with my son, and after 5 months of bonding with this child, to find out that it was not my grandchild, it broke my heart. So I don't want my granddaughter to be 21 and find out that this man is not her father.
So as you look at Serenity, your granddaughter, do you see Mr. Robinson? Your daughter says she doesn't see his face.
When at first I didn't, which is why I understood why my daughter wanted to have someone else tested, because Serenity looks like him. My grandson is very dark skinned. Serenity is brown skinned like the other man. They have the same facial features, the eyes, the nose. And as she grew teeth and got a little older, she's now beginning to look like Mr. Robinson. So I just want an end to the question so that they can begin.
Yes.
But I think that Serenity looks like me. I have a picture of the both of us.
Jerome, will you hand me that, please? And this is, sir?
That is Serenity and myself.
As babies?
Yes, ma'am.
And you say you see a resemblance?
Yes, ma'am.
How about you, Ms. Schenck?
I can say yes and I can say no. I think Serenity looks like him. They both have a prominent gap in their teeth. We don't have gaps in our family, in our teeth, and he and his mom do. So like I said, as she's gotten older, she is starting to favor Mr. Robinson. But I mean, you can't go by that. We know that.
We definitely have seen in this courtroom, there have been many times when a child, we want to believe a child looks like a certain man because we want that man to be their father because he wants to be.
Right.
But it often does not turn out the way we hoped. I want to ask you, Ms. Schenck, have you noticed at all Mr. Robinson treating Serenity differently? I know of late your daughter spoke of him not picking her up.
Yes,
Have you noticed the effects it's had on Serenity?
It's caused a lot of confusion. You touched on earlier about my grandson. He's 4, but he's 44. So he is very intelligent, and he doesn't understand how now we're saying that your daddy and Serenity's daddy, because that's not what was told to him. That's for the last 2 years. So he's confused.
What I'm hoping is that he hasn't overheard grown folks' conversations, because I have a 4-year-old too.
Exactly.
And they know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
And they pick it up. And the very line you don't want them to say is the one they repeat.
Exactly.
So, all right. So, Mr. Robinson, your mom sent in a video statement, and we'd like to hear from her.
I think that Serenity may not be Jamaria's daughter because Brittany went out and cheated on Jamaria with one of his friends or associates that he knew. So, and then she told Jamaria that the child wasn't his. When she gave him the information that it may not have been his, he was really hurt. I mean, he was hurt, crying hurt. So, yeah, I did try to express to him not to get close to this child until he knew for sure. I did tell him that one day the truth will come out.
So, Mr. Robinson, we've heard your mother just speak on your behalf, and she says it really broke your heart to have to pull away, and that she encouraged you to.
Yes, ma'am.
Until you know. How badly is it hurting you?
I mean, it's devastating, actually. Like I said, I never denied a child, and I hope that she is mine.
And so, the truth is, your hopes have remained constant.
Yes, ma'am.
You hoped she was yours when you found out she was pregnant.
Yes, ma'am.
You've hoped she was yours when you found out there could potentially be another man, and you're still hoping this baby is yours, even though you feel like it was right to pull away from her until you know for sure.
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Schenck, what are your hopes?
My hopes is for these two to begin co-parenting, and that we find out an answer today, because my grandchildren deserve to have the best parents that they can get.
And how about you, Brittany? Ms. Schenck, what are your hopes today?
My hopes today are that Mr. Robinson is Serenity's father. I don't want to see my baby go through the same things I went through.
And when you say you went through?
I grew up without my father. The last time I seen my father, I believe I was 6. He just now is reaching out to me, so we're working on that. But I want my baby to do better than me and have better than me.
That's understandable. Do you know where the other man is, if in fact Mr. Robinson is not Serenity's biological father?
I know where he is, but I don't think he's willing to do a DNA test.
So a lot's riding on this result today, because you believe if Mr. Robinson is not Serenity's biological father, she loses that connection to a father because the other man, you say, is not interested in being involved in her life.
Yes, Your Honor.
I think it's time for the results. Jerome? These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Schenck versus Robinson, when it comes to 2-year-old Serenity Schenck. In the case of Schenck versus Robinson, when it comes to 2-year-old Serenity Schenck. Jamario Robinson is her father. How do you feel, Mr. Robinson?
I feel great.
Good.
I feel great.
And so now when we go pick up child number 1, we also get our little girl too, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Brittany Ms. Schenck, your daughter does have the father. She so desperately deserves. I'm so happy for you, and I see how relieved you are. Now I see you're having another baby.
Yes.
I have to ask.
I know who the baby daddy is.
We know who the father
Yes.
is, and it's not Mr. Robinson.
No, ma'am.
So you all are off now. No more on, off, just off. And we're gonna learn to co-parent, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And take care of the 2 beautiful children we have together, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's what I wanna hear. The court has resources for you. If you need help pulling all of this together, I wish you all the very best of luck and good luck on the
Thank
brand new
you.
baby as
Thank
well. Court is adjourned.
I'll go ahead and walk you all out.
Ms. Edwards, you're here to solve a 20-year mystery and prove that the defendant fathered your daughter, Brianne, who is joining us from her hometown. You say you are tired of his denial and hope to prove your case today. You are here supported by your older daughter, Caitlin. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Morris, you claim that you've always known that another man is Brianne's biological father, and you are here to set the record straight. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Morris, what was the nature of your relationship with the plaintiff before she got pregnant?
Years ago, I run a little garage in a small town, and her husband, I got to know him, and we wound up getting threesome in my backyard. And
A threesome in the backyard?
out in the field behind my house, yes.
A threesome in the backyard?
Yeah.
With your friend's wife?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
A threesome in the backyard with your friend's wife. I just digested that. Now, how often were you having these threesomes?
We done it a couple times, and then I kind of moved off to another county, and things went on. But back then, if you wore panties and opened up, drop them, I got me some. I mean, that's
Oh, Lord.
Yes, he did.
He said that.
Yes, he did.
Well, you didn't come here to lie, did you?
no, ma'am.
I know that's right. Go ahead and tell the truth. Shame the devil.
Right?
So, Mr. Morris, did you ever find out Miss Edwards was pregnant when, because you say you moved on.
Yes, ma'am. Sometime later, I did.
How did you find out?
They come to where I had moved to and told me that she was pregnant.
So they came and saw you in person
Yes,
and
yes.
said,
They,
we have something to tell you.
yes, they were coming to my house on the weekends sometimes.
Oh, for more threesomes?
Pretty much.
Small town.
So, Miss Edwards, you went through the whole pregnancy. Did you tell your husband this could potentially be Mr. Morris's child, that you thought it could?
No, Your Honor, I did not. I thought it was my husband's all along.
At what point did you decide that it could be Mr. Morris's?
When she was born, I was on the operating table, and they brought her around the curtain. And as soon as I seen her, I knew she was Wayne's Dan because she had his forehead.
No.
And she was born with a cleft.
No.
When you birthed the baby, you say they brought her from around the curtain after they got her.
Right.
She bent that corner and you said, there goes Mr. Morris.
I said, uh-oh. Yeah.
You
And
said,
I told him
uh-oh?
the net- yeah, right.
That was your reaction
Yes, Your Honor.
to your new baby?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then what did you say to your husband?
I didn't tell him till the next day that it was possibly not his.
And what does he say?
He said, she's mine, she just looks like you.
Did you tell him you think it could be Mr. Morris's?
Yes. As the time went by, I decided to let him know that he was the father.
So, Mr. Morris, do you remember that day?
Pretty close.
What happened?
The first time that I was told she could be mine was when Brianna was around a year old, I think. Pretty sure of that.
Oh, so they come and tell you she's pregnant, but they don't ever let on to the fact that it could be yours.
No, not then.
So how did Miss Edwards tell you specifically that she thought you were Brianne's biological father?
I don't remember exactly how she said it, but I didn't think so because none of my children was ever born with a clipped lip. And nobody in my family as well.
So, Miss Edwards, but when you said you saw Brianna and she had the cleft palate, you thought immediately it was Mr. Morris's.
Exactly, Your Honor. The reason I thought he was, or knew that he was the father, was because he had mentioned to me at one point in time that he had a rare blood, and that the mother of his children had to have shots whenever they were pregnant.
Why, or else what?
The baby would be born with a birth defect.
Your Honor.
Oh. So, did you tell Miss Edwards, Mr. Morris, that the other mothers of your children had to have shots because of your rare blood?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
To avoid the baby having birth defects?
I don't know what the shot was for, but all of my children were perfectly healthy.
But were you ever told that these shots were necessary to avoid birth defects because of your blood type?
No, I wasn't never told no. I mean, I do know the mothers had a shot, except...
So you are aware that they were given those shots?
Yes, except my little boy...
So, Miss Edwards, it's your testimony, because you knew this, you felt that because Brianne was born with the cleft palate that you didn't get the shot, and so therefore, this is why this occurred, and that leads you to believe Mr. Morris is her biological father.
Yes, Your Honor, it does.
All right, I want to hear from Brianne. She's joining us now from her hometown. Brianne, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Brianne, growing up, did you know that your mother doubted your paternity? Did you know that Mr. Morris could potentially be your biological father?
Yes, ma'am. Growing up, I was told by my mother and family that Mr. Morris was my father.
But what about her husband?
They had always told me that he wasn't my father and that I had a different father than my siblings.
From birth, you say they just told you Mr. Morris is your biological father?
Yes, ma'am.
So you felt like you were just being honest from the beginning?
Yes, Your Honor, I was. She needed to know.
And so did you have a relationship with Mr. Morris?
No, ma'am, not really. Not from what I recall.
Caitlin, I want to ask you, did you grow up with the understanding that your sister Brianne had a different biological father?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And you always knew it was Mr. Morris as well?
I did. I have a birthmark on the back of my head, and my sister does not have a birthmark. And my other siblings have the same exact birthmark, as well as my children. And Brianne does not look like me. I feel like she looks like Wayne's girls.
No.
And I've just never felt like she was related to me other than through my mother, because she just doesn't look like us.
And so it's always been an understanding with your siblings that Brianne had a different father?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Morris, your wife is here. I'd like to hear from her. Please stand, ma'am.
Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
all of our children have some kind of resemblance to my husband. My husband has 7 children. Every one of them have some kind of feature of his, whether it be eyes, walk, talk, something. Even his smart mouth. Brianne, she doesn't have that. None of our children are shy.
What are you holding?
I'm holding evidence of 2 of our daughters.
I'd like to see that. Jerome, will you hand it to me, please?
Thank you.
That shows that Brianne looks nothing like neither one of our daughters.
Thank you. So this is a split screen of two of Mr. Morris's daughters, Brianne in the middle.
Yes, ma'am. And as you see, I mean, they have some kind of feature of him in some sort of way. Brianne has none of that. I mean, our girls have his nose, his lazy eye, his forehead. And our girls are very outspoken, not shy. Like I said, they're not shy.
But Miss Edwards, you believe the fact that you were even told by Mr. Morris that mothers of his children had to have a shot to prevent potential birth defects because of his rare blood further indicates that he really is your daughter's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Well, we wanted to learn more about these medical issues that we've discussed. Now, at this time, Jerome, would you please escort Dr. Frida Fisher into the courtroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to ask her a few questions.
We're going to go right up to the witness stand next to the judge. Watch your step going.
Hello, Dr. Fisher. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
We have had a very interesting time today discussing some complex testimony given by Mr. Morris. Ms. Edwards also testified that two of his children's mothers have had to have some type of injection before they gave birth to prevent birth defects because of his blood type or rare blood qualities. Do you understand what this is, and can you explain it to this court?
Well, there is something called the RH factor.
Okay.
The RH factor is a protein that's found on red blood cells in the blood. When a mother does not have the RH factor, she is considered to be RH negative. If an RH negative mother has a baby who is RH positive, that mother can actually develop antibodies against her own unborn baby's blood. So the RH negative mother can attack her own unborn baby, and this can cause disease.
And then what does that have to do with the father's blood?
Well, the only way that an RH negative mother can have an RH positive baby is if the father's blood is RH positive.
Okay. And so, Mr. Morris, have you ever been told that your blood was RH positive?
I was told it was A positive. I don't know nothing about the RH, the other stuff.
That means he also has the RH factor, so he's RH positive.
Okay. And with their two blood types, RH positive, RH negative, could they produce a child that potentially had a birth defect?
An RH positive father with an RH negative mother can have a child who is RH positive. And if the mother does not receive the shot, the RH immune globulin, she can develop antibodies that attack that baby and cause disease. But it has not been shown to cause birth defects, like a cleft palate.
All right. Now, after hearing the doctor's testimony and understanding now that Brianne's cleft palate was not caused because Mr. Morris was RH positive and you are RH negative, do you still believe Mr. Morris is your child's biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
That doesn't change your mind in any way?
No, it doesn't. I mean, there's no other possibility.
So, Mr. Morris?
Yes, ma'am.
After hearing this testimony, have your thoughts changed? Has your position changed?
No, ma'am.
You do not think you're Brianne's biological father?
No, ma'am, I don't.
And what are your hopes? I mean, if you are you hoping that you are, but you don't think you are? What are your hopes today?
If I am, I will hope to be a father figure in her life and her be a daughter figure.
With that said, I think it's time we get these results. Thank you, Jerome. Brianne,
Yes, ma'am.
before I read these results, what are you hoping for today?
I'm hoping to find out who my father is so I can be able to answer questions at the doctor's and know my background, medical history, and to possibly have a bond with whoever happens to be my father.
So these results are more important than ever to this young girl, and I want you to get them right now. Are you ready, Brianne?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Edwards versus Morris, when it comes to 20-year-old Brianne, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Morris,
Yes, ma'am.
you are the father. Brianne, this is your biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
How does it feel to know for certain now?
Feels pretty good to have answers that I've always needed.
Would you like to have a relationship with Mr. Morris?
Yes, ma'am.
What are you feeling in this moment, Mom?
It was her is the reason I'm here, only her. As I didn't do it for me, I didn't do it for her, I didn't do it for them, I done it for her.